So Longlegs has finally come out and it has people very divided. Apparently it's simultaneously the scariest and least scary movie of the year. But there was one scene in here that I consider not only the best moment in the entire story, but also the scariest. And no, it's not the big jump scare. It's actually right at the beginning. The opening scene is incredibly creepy and it has the benefit of having the least amount of context, which is part of what makes it so effective. First of all, if you haven't seen it yet, I highly encourage you to watch this movie. Even if you don't find it scary, you'll still find it entertaining alone because of Nicolas Cage's crazy moments. But the opening is one of a few moments that is very similar to the trailers. It starts off with a car driving down a snowy road, pulling up to an isolated house. What we see seems a little dark, but we soon find out why, like the camera is covered by something. The car stops and we now see a little girl looking out the window, and it's here where you can tell that this movie is still a better watch at cinemas because you can just make out a black figure in the vehicle. If you're watching this on a phone, it will likely be much tougher to tell, but on a big screen your eyes soon find this pitch black mark and you snap onto it trying to figure out what it is. The girl goes outside to see what's going on, and we quickly notice that the driver is not there anymore. In the car is a figure covered in a black cloth. At first, we were in the point of view of this thing. A voice is heard behind the girl, coming from behind the house, saying cuckoo. She follows it and eventually spots a man in her backyard. It's interesting how this part looks because we can see the torso but not the head. It's just cut off. It's unnerving how you can tell, how you're given just enough information to tell that there's something wrong with his face as it's unnaturally pale, but the identity of the person is still hidden. The man talks to her and towards the end says something along the lines of, "Seems like I brought my long legs today," before bending down at the frame, getting to eye level with the girl. We see the face for only a split second before the title screen appears. Personally, I thought this was extremely effective. I don't particularly find gore or violence disturbing, but the anticipation leading up to something horrible can be so much creepier. I would compare this moment to the ape scene from Nope. They feel kind of similar in terms of what I felt inside. The sense of unease, knowing that something horrible is coming, and sitting there just waiting for it to finally happen. The main reason why it worked so well on me was because it was the first reveal of Nick Cage's face. I will say that once you see it all and the camera is right in his face and it's lingering there, it's not that scary anymore. However, just seeing it for a few frames along with a motion blur distorting it a little, it is far scarier. It's just the right balance of satisfying the need of wanting to see his face after it was literally blacked out of the trailers, but still leaving more than enough for the imagination to make it even creepier in your mind. What this moment effectively does is it leaves you wanting more. It's a great opening for a thriller because it asks a lot of questions while answering some other ones. We now know that the man, the main villain, is more or less human. He's not a ghost or a creature with 8 arms, but appears to be mostly like everyone else, just that his face is weirdly different. It falls in that uncanny valley where what you're seeing seems normal, but it's just a little bit off, just enough to unsettle you. Now, the full movie goes in a little bit of a different direction eventually with how it tries to scare you, especially when you arrive at the point where you're following the Longlegs killer. But this isn't the only scene that I found really well done. There was one other moment that really unsettled me and I just couldn't ignore it. Nope, it's still not the big jump scare. I don't know where exactly in the movie it is, it's towards the first half, but it involves the images we see in the very first teaser trailer. The photo of the family of 3 with the red eyes are seen here. We hear a couple of 911 calls where people involved in the murders are partly begging for help or informing the police what will be done, and we can hear some of the murders being committed during the calls. Once again, the absence of the in-your-face threat, the lack of putting the killer in front of the camera and giving you the information like, hey, here's what is scary, this is exactly what you're supposed to be afraid of, makes it so unsettling. I think we can all agree that these pictures are far more creepy than if we were to see someone being stabbed to death. That, coupled with the bizarre, unsettling music that slowly grows in intensity, makes it stand out, and it's technically just a compilation of photos together with music and dialogue being spoken. We only see the aftermath, but it looks believable. This once again leaves a gap of information in your mind, and for me, it's this fuzziness, the unanswered questions that stay with me the longest. We at this point know what is happening before and after the killing, but the middle is still a gap. It reminds me of Lake Mungo, where you have the family searching for the cause of death of their daughter, and by the end they don't really have an answer, but you're left with just enough pieces to put the puzzle together to understand what's going on, but without hyper-focusing on the danger. I'll be honest, once it's revealed, we're back to Longlegs now by the way, once it's revealed who the killer is and how everything works, you will probably not find it as scary anymore because suddenly the fuzziness is gone and the creepiness kind of fades away slowly. For a lot of people, for me, I'll be honest, it kind of stayed, but I know that a lot of people have had this reaction and I think it's fair. But this moment gives you an idea of about what will happen if you encounter Longlegs. We can only imagine what the horror between him arriving at the scene and the end result is, and we will inevitably build it up as scary as possible in our own mind. What I also found very interesting is that almost all of the would-be gore and blood is covered up. There are white sheets over the victims and things are literally blacked out. Holding back was the right decision here. I can honestly say that for me, Longlegs, both the movie and especially the trailers, have helped me define what horror means to me. That's not to say that the movie is perfect by any means. Like I said, there are things done here that if removed would make it much scarier, I think. Mostly the parts where we see Longlegs right up close and where we follow him around. But these two scenes alone made me so incredibly happy and made the movie well worth it. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought of Longlegs. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.